We've got half of the equation done here, right? Your spirituality, your spiritual grace is about connecting with your aliveness. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to engage your spirit. How to engage your spirit. Similar to engaging your soul and spirit is the key to being alive. That life force energy. And your spirit is very different than your soul. It's important to work on your soul first. Your soul is the beingness. It is the presence. It is the power. It is the energy of your being. And your soul, as I mentioned in the other video, that how the soul works is, and this is just an analogy because your soul is so much more than this, but just to kind of show you really an analogy between the relationship between your soul and your spirit. And then we'll talk about engaging your spirit. See, your soul is this space. You have one soul. And you have that one soul that you experience all of your different lifetimes. All of the many myriad of lifetimes you've lived. Your soul knows all of them. But each lifetime, a spark of spirit is born. Your spirit is in each lifetime, but your soul is eternal. Your soul is the space that holds the spirit. Like a space filled with oxygen. When you feed your soul, when you honor and engage your soul, you feed it with oxygen. It becomes a part of your life. You give it your attention and it is vibrant and alive. And then that spirit is a flame that needs the oxygen to grow and to grow bright and to fill the room, the space with light, with your presence, with your radiance. So that's the analogy between your soul, again, much more than a room, but the space that occupies that all of your lifetimes have experienced. In each lifetime, there's a new spirit that gets born. So your spirit is different in soul and is dynamic energy. It is a force of nature. It is a force of energy. And how to engage your spirit is to be determined, being determined to be powerful. Being determined to be powerful and to awaken your inner strength is what engages your spirit. I'm determined to not feel sorry for myself. I'm determined to take my power back from the past. I'm determined to heal this incurable disease. I'm determined, coming from within, to work on myself. And to awaken your inner strength. I'm determined to discover new levels of inner strength. That is the first component of engaging your spirit. The second component is knowing you're enough and knowing you're valuable. That's what feeds the spirit. That's what makes your spirit come alive. I am enough. I'm not perfect and I'm not going to ever be perfect, and I'm going to stop letting my ego seduce me into trying to be perfect so I can control. So I don't have to trust myself. No, I'm going to let that go and I'm going to know that I'm enough. I'm secure enough. I'm creative enough. I'm belong enough. I'm connected enough. I'm loving enough. I'm open enough. And I'm resourceful enough. I am enough. To come from that engages your spirit. The third component is to function daily with your principles, your values, and your esteem. Your self-esteem is the way you live your life day in and day out. It's the evaluation. It's the appraisal that you make at the end of the day of how did I function, hear that word, today. How did I feel today? Remember I talked about form, feeling, function? It's what's more important, what engages your spirit is to focus on how am I feeling and functioning, and your self-esteem is the evaluation, the appraisal of your day. Did I function today with honesty? Did I function today with responsibility? Did I function today with integrity? Did I function today with trust? Trusting myself, trusting others, trusting the world's a friendly place. How did I function today? And your self-esteem is based upon the way you live your life. Either empowered in loving or disempowered in punishing. That is what your self-esteem is. And the third component of functioning daily with principles, your principles to be caring, to be creative, to be loving, to be compassionate, to be understanding, all of those can become principles that guide you through life. And guess what? When you do not have principles to guide you, when you do not listen to your soul and spirit to guide you, you have blockages. You have struggle of the ego. The blockages of fear of intimacy, the blockages of rage and pain, the blockages of unable to make a decision or a choice, unable to make trustworthy decisions. All of that becomes a blockage. When you don't have principles, you have blockages to guide you, to keep you in line. And that's the third component of engaging your spirit. The fourth component is challenging yourself to change. Challenge you to reach for challenge. The spirit loves to challenge. It loves to challenge. The ego's like, oh no, I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I'm afraid I won't win. I'm afraid I won't lose that game of tennis. I'm afraid. Challenge is what feeds that spirit. That's the spirit of the Olympics going on right now. Look at the Olympics and the spirits of those beautiful people out there that challenge themselves to grow, to stretch, to become more. And that feeds their spirit, and it inspires. That's what spirit does. Inspiration, in spirit. Inspiration, it inspires others. And that's why these Olympics can be so inspiring when you watch somebody who challenges themselves, who came up from the depth of despair and moved through mediocrity, and they challenge themselves to become excellent in their craft, in their sport. You respect them and you're inspired by them. That is a component that engages spirit. The final and the fifth one is to focus on finding the goodness, truth, and beauty of yourself. That feeds your spirit. Focusing on finding the goodness, truth, and beauty of others. It feeds their spirit and yours. Rather than focusing on criticism and what's wrong and what they need to do right and how I can change them and how I can manipulate them and how I can control them and how I can judge them and how I can blah, 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 blah. You know that. I don't need to belabor the point, but focusing on finding, and it takes strength, it takes spirit to look for the goodness and to have that sense of non-judgmentalness. That's what the spirit is. It's present. It's in the present moment. It's intense. It's focused. It's clear. And when you've engaged your spirit and you've learned to engage your soul, they come together and they give birth to aliveness, to being alive and vibrant, to functioning with a life when at the end of this life you can know that you lived it without regrets because of the way you lived your day in and day out. It doesn't matter what you've manifested. It doesn't matter how much success, how much money is in the bank. That does not matter. Ultimately. Now, the key is when you function and you feel and you function with high principles and you come from love, you are going to attract abundance and prosperity like no get out. You can't stop it. It's your spiritual inheritance that will come to you without the games of the manipulative ego that tries to force it to happen, that says only the form matters. So engaging soul, engaging spirit, those are the 5 components, very different than the components of your soul. Your soul was awakening compassion and willingness to feel and heal sorrow. Engaging your spirit was determined to be powerful and awakening inner strength. Your soul was being humble enough to honor and respect difference. Your spirit is knowing you are enough, knowing you are valuable as being different and unique. This was really a big lesson for me because I always felt different as a child, and it was my source of shame and pain. I felt I didn't belong, I didn't fit in, I was different than my brother, I was different than siblings and friends in the neighborhood. I just felt so much pain of feeling different. And then as I grew and matured and understood myself, and as I started seeking meditation in high school and in metaphysics and learning about the mind and learning about my soul and connecting with it, then I realized, yeah, I needed to feel different as a child. Because in order to make a difference, you have to be different. And so what was a source of my pain and a liability became a source of my strength and an asset. Yeah, I am different. And so are you. And so is everybody. But I'm not going to let my ego make my difference into a game of manipulation. Poor me. And hide my light. I learned to see that it was necessary for me to fulfill my empowered destiny. To be different, to make a difference is what it all came about. And now I honor and value that. So knowing you are enough, knowing you are valuable so that you can make a difference as the second component of being humble enough to honor and respect difference of the soul. The third component of the soul was to accept yourself and sense the divine with everything. And when you do, you will function, engaging your spirit, functioning daily with principles, value, and esteem. That will become second nature to you. And as you are courageous enough from your soul's perspective to open up to receive, then you can challenge yourself to change, to grow, and to become more of the fourth component of the spirit. So opening up to receive, challenging yourself to open up, to be vulnerable enough to receive is what the soul does. And the spirit challenges yourself to grow in that by receiving guidance, direction, and love. And you can challenge yourself to grow and become more. And that the soul that deepens your relationship into a partnership with the divine, that soul, that fifth component, deepening your relationship into a partnership with the divine. Then to engage your spirit, the fifth component that correlates is to focus. When you're connected to the divine, to focus on finding the goodness, truth, and beauty within yourself and within others. That is the way that you bring the soul and spirit together. That's the way you engage your soul and spirit on a daily basis. Very practical. It's not just meditate and inhale incense and hope for the best. Maybe you'll be, or just, or the adolescent, which loves to be spiritual and feels superior spiritual arrogance. Oh, I'm going to go wear all these garb and clothes and let the whole world know that I'm weird. Oh, I mean spiritual. And it's going to wear it and it's going to act bizarre and it's going to, do all these things, all the form. See the world, see how spiritual I am. Look at my clothes, look at and how I talk and what I do and all the, see. And it's a game. It's a performance. It's not real. It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter how much incense you inhale. It doesn't matter how many days a week you meditate. When you can be engaging your soul and spirit on a daily basis, when you are connected with the divine, that's the real spirituality, not a performance. So